After weeks of testing the new IKEA smart home appliances, I discovered something everyone is too scared to talk about. The performance of $10 sensors is identical to that of $40. Same accuracy, same reaction times, and no disconnections. So why is the $40 sensor more expensive? Why are $10 sensors performing like $40 ones? I've pushed these systems to find where they break. I've compared reaction speeds with those of far more expensive sensors. I even placed these sensors in my refrigerator, and not a single gadget disconnected. Throughout, the 3 Clatz bulbs remained connected, and this was where things started to get interesting. Then, I used my IKEA T1 sensor, which I had already calibrated in my Homey smart home system using a trusted thermometer as the reference to test the Timoflot and Alpuga sensors. For the room temperature, Timoflot displayed a temperature of 23 degrees Celsius. IKEA displayed 22.8 degrees, whereas Alstuga displayed 23 degrees, which was a nice match. However, to try colder temperatures, I stored all the sensors in my refrigerator, took them out a few minutes later, and it read 9.5 degrees Celsius on the IKEA app. The $10 sensors were genuinely accurate, but their performance didn't justify the price. But if you are wondering whether these sensors maintain a history with graphs spanning days or weeks, the simple answer is yes. You receive accurate history graphs for compatible sensors after logging into the IKEA Home Smart app, connecting your Durigera hub, and confirming your email address for remote access. I must say, it is genuinely helpful to see trends in temperature, humidity, or air quality over days, weeks, or even months. But it's still not the same as the deep exportable analytics you get in something like Home Assistant or Homey. But reaction time is just as important as accuracy. A sensor that takes 30 seconds to register occupancy limits its practical effectiveness, regardless of how precise its readings are. Motion performance and battery life reality check. I placed the IKEA P1 motion sensor and the IKEA motion sensor in the exact same position to ensure a fair comparison. The IKEA P1, a Zigbee motion sensor which is known for its fast detection speed, reliable performance, and typical price of around $20, served as the benchmark. Both sensors were tested under identical conditions, the same lighting environment, the same test procedures, and the same distance from the hub. The lights turn on as soon as I enter the room, and they constantly match the IKEA sensor. But what truly surprised me was the battery life. A few weeks ago, I put fresh batteries in the door and motion sensors. Every few days, I check the app in the hopes of seeing the number decline, but it remains at 100%. While 2 weeks is insufficient to estimate battery life, IKEA says these sensors should last 2 to 3 years on a single charge. Apparently, AAA cells are used by these new ones, and everything is still at 100% after 2 weeks of regular use. But beyond battery performance, IKEA's approach to automation and ecosystem integration is worth a closer look. Automation, ecosystem, and IKEA versus Philips Hue. Even though basic control is responsive and fluid, everything is instantaneous, including color, temperature, dimming, and turning on and off lights. From a clear interface, you can control anything, name gadgets, and arrange rooms. To further see what these gadgets could do, I set up a couple of scenarios with warm white lighting and 20% light dimmer settings. Everything happened instantly with a single tap. The lights go on as soon as you arrive and switch off automatically when you leave. As for movie night, a simple tap dims them to the perfect level. But let's talk about the K-Platz bulbs. There's a party mode that gradually fades color by itself, not to mention the fact that the app now has a basic color cycling effect, which is not really adjustable. It's also important to note that there's a difference between these whites and the outdated trough-free bulbs. Compared to the previous 3-step very warm daylight system, the warm white appears more natural and the cool white less greenish. So the combination of these bulbs and the built-in settings will likely suffice if you're more concerned with plain, attractive lighting than with constantly adjusting color temperatures. But what if I set up more advanced routines? What if I don't want the lights to suddenly turn on at full brightness when I get up in the middle of the night to go to the kitchen? What if I just want the lights to turn on at a mere 20% level when motion is detected between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m.? Just enough to see where I'm going. This system even alerts me if my rooftop window is still open after I turn off all the lights and leave the house. Not just that, The latest IKEA app also switches off lights with a button or at a specific time. But here are some downsides. The system cannot send me a notification if I leave a window open, perform geofencing, or use real presence detection. Also, there's no built-in trigger for when everyone leaves the house, which makes me wonder why IKEA didn't include these options. That's when I realized the problem wasn't the IKEA devices. It was the IKEA app. On the left, the IKEA app controls the same gadgets with limited features. On the right, Homey Pro runs those exact devices but unlocks advanced functions. So it's the same hardware with smarter software. The good part about automating the IKEA lights and sensors is that they are capable of doing things the IKEA app doesn't even offer. The sensors are still the same $10 devices, but with smarter control. You can add multiple conditions, trigger actions based on sensor activity, connect different devices to work together, and change how things behave depending on the time of day. IKEA is putting a lot more effort into improving these gadgets, and that's what makes these inexpensive sensors so intriguing. But let's put the IKEA system and Philips Hue side by side to see which is better. IKEA versus Philips Hue: ecosystem, price, and real-world reliability. To begin with, the motion sensors from IKEA and Philips Hue are both dependable, but different prices. Why? The Hue bridge is necessary for Philips Hue because it is only compatible with HomeKit, Google Home, and Alexa through that bridge. On the other hand, Matter over Thread allows the IKEA sensor to function with anything natively. Also, the Hue sensor connects you to their ecosystem, which costs $40, while the $10 IKEA sensor can be used with any object that is part of the Thread ecosystem. But that's not all. IKEA charges $50 for 5 motion sensors for your house, while the price of Philips Hue is $200. This means that sensors alone save you $150, and they function exactly the same way in your sophisticated hub. But I'm particularly concerned about automation. Without fail, my dining room corner lamp comes on at 6 o'clock every day. That's what I mean when I say dependable, although not always effective. In my house, the hub is located in the kitchen, and I have sensors and light bulbs down the hall and 1 or 2 walls away. Each powered bulb or plug contributes to the expansion of coverage since these devices create a thread mesh. Therefore, the network becomes stronger when you have a few spread throughout the house. You are more likely to reach the restrictions if you only purchase 1 hub and 1 battery sensor and place them at opposite ends of a big house. For example, I moved 8 to 9 meters away with a wall between us, and I began to experience delays in a poor connection with the Bill Razer remote. This leaves a question in my mind. Is inexpensive really a good thing? For me, what stood out were the cost, dependability, response times, battery life, clear UI, and Matter compatibility. There's a catch though. Even if other brands appear in the IKEA app, automation between IKEA and non-IKEA devices is still limited. You will need the Dirigera hub for the full experience. The good news is that automations run locally, so everything keeps working without internet. And since it's open Matter hardware, you can always move your devices to another platform later. But you may ask, is it possible to combine these new Matter over Thread devices with the older IKEA Zigbee devices? Yes, but the hub you're using will determine how you do it. In the coming weeks, I'll be testing the leak, window, and door sensors using Homey Pro lights. I'll also check out combining motion sensors, door sensors, geofencing, and smart locks to automatically switch between a bright work scene and a cozy relax scene.